India has seen an influx of startups, and you've all seen Shark Tanks. But everything is not as glamorous as Shark Tanks. But these startups do need money, and we do need entrepreneurs. We have an entrepreneur today who actually helps other entrepreneurs fulfill their dream. He mentors them, helps them get funding, and when he builds them from scratch and takes them up. We have Sanjeev Sinha with us today. And without further ado, I'd actually like him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his journey. So,
thanks, Pragya, for inviting me. This is a great pleasure to be here with you all. Also. Yeah, thank you very much. And you got a great studio here. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you. So you are absolutely right. You know, when I started this company, I actually was inspired, and before I even started this company, I was into a lot of things. I was trying to think what I want to build. So I first thought of what I had been doing over the years, which is technology, cloud, infrastructure, and all that. But then I thought I want to do something different because it's been a long journey till that time of 25 years. And I was still thinking what I really want to do. And the big idea wasn't coming and to the way, as they say, for me. But then, one day I thought, I was listening to our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and he was talking about his vision of Viksit Bharat, by 2047. And he said that the startup ecosystem of India is going to play a very important role. It's going to play a pivotal role if we have to become a developed country. And that caught with me. And I said, well, I can help people. First, we try to fund ourselves, So we did fund some companies, but then we realized that there are a lot of companies were coming to me right after that. So, and they all had an ask from 1 to 4 crores and all that. And we can't, with our personal funds, fund them. So we thought, okay, we'll build a marketplace where there are investors and there are startups, and they can work together themselves out. And then we started it free, but then there were a lot of people coming in. We didn't have staff, and there was a fatigue on the investor side because we were not doing enough work on ourselves. Then we said how to solve this, and then we were again thinking a lot, because once you run on that path of building a startup, you start to see that things are not happening or happening, and so on and so forth. Every hour you will be exhilarated, and every hour you'll feel very let down as well. So then somebody told me, and by the time Shark Tank was not launched 3 years back in India. So while you compared us with them, our vision was to create a show because we have been connecting them, but then it was difficult to reach out to a lot of people at once, right. So I thought if we can put up a show and put the recording on the video, or we can do live as well. But I think recording worked well for us because we could put that on YouTube later and all the other social media, because usually you have to pay for the media part to be distributed a lot of other places, and we didn't, as a startup, we didn't have so much funds and didn't want to burn so much cash as well. So we did the recording and we did that, and then we slowly, Major General Digvijay Sethia, he joined me long back. He is VSM SM. He wanted to become the host, and I was so glad he asked me to do that. And he has been running the show. So here we connect. So here the beauty is that the startup actually can reach out to everybody in the world. We actually send the recording to 10,000 investors through email recording, as well as we put it back on LinkedIn for people to invest directly for the startup. So that's it. And then this recording also is on the website in a sequential order as it happens. So anybody who comes to tdventures.in, they can look at it, and they can, if they feel like investing in them, they can contact them and do it. So we call it the Great Unicorn Show. Great Unicorn Show, and I think you when you compare it with Shark Tank, with all humility, I think, but you're right. I mean, Shark Tank happens in a nice place in a studio.
It's more glamorous.
Yeah, here we do it on Google Meet and record it and put it across for people.
I understand most people do not have access to Shark Tank, but they do need funds, so they have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Shark Tank. So Shark Tank is like an apex at the apex level, right? So not everybody can get through there. And there are a lot of startups from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, who are finding it very difficult. If you look at some of our recordings on Great Unicorn Show, you will see that they wanted to speak in Hindi and we allowed that. A lot of people said, no, don't make it like that. And we said, no, if a founder, and somebody told me that it's not about English, Hindi, the DNA and how a company, a person builds is, sometimes somebody told me, I can't remember now, one Mr. Murthy, that a guy, who had no education, he didn't have any education. He built a $2 billion company. So how can we judge someone?
Right.
So then I allowed everybody in their native way. We also had a company which was onboarded on our portal. They could do language conversion. So we could do in English. That was a great test case. But then these shows are very long. It goes for an hour and then it's a lot of effort. And we still felt that why not put the original videos of people, how they express themselves and all that. So
yes,
we continued with the practice.
Passion, I guess. So if they can express that better in their native language, so it's a great way to showcase.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship and a person, and we are a vast country, by the way. So we have so many languages. Yes. To box them into English where there hinders their expression of their idea and whatever they are, their will skill, their energy and all that. I think it's better that they speak in the native language.
Exactly. The purpose of any language is basically communication. If they are able to communicate that in the native language, then
and they do best in their native language, which I've felt. So why hinder that? And if somebody needs an interpreter, well, you are an investor, you got to get one for that person.
So how did your journey begin for True Digital? You were in a job and you were at a very high position, so to take a break from that and start this is also no small feat. So
I graduated in 1994, long back, and in BTech Electronics, and I had a great life. I was the sales head for a lot of the companies. I was the comm sector head of IBM in 2005. Then I worked in Infosys, Capgemini, Wipro. I had worked in HCL before IBM and and Wipro, 2 stints, one before IBM and one later.
Covered all the big
I kind of worked with all the big companies, and when in 2019 I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to actually build a digital company really, but then what happened is that I was first very aligned to do something on what my primary skills were.
True.
But then I said, Mr. Modi changed my destiny in terms of entrepreneurship, and it looked very easy for me because I had been working at with directors, founders, VPs and above.
Exactly.
So those kind of people ecosystem. So I was more comfortable rather than developing a product, working with senior level and senior manager level and below. I felt I'm more comfortable working with the board of directors and top tier, and then the startup ecosystem allows that to you. Plus the vision of Mr. Modi plus my thinking at that point in time culminated into this idea, and there was a strange belief inside me that I have, and when you will work for so many years and you have learned a lot of things in your life, you start to feel that it's time to give it back. I don't know whether feeling comes to everyone or not, but it came to me, and I said the best way I can do justice is, because the Prime Minister is laying down a developed nations agenda, agenda, and he thinks that startup is going to play a pivotal role. If that's going to happen, then I want to be that guy to do a small, minute difference to that ecosystem.
And I feel most startups at the initial level need mentorship more than they need funding or anything else. They need a lot of mentorship. So is that what also sort of inspired you or motivated you to get into this, because you felt that you could be a good mentor to them?
Yes, I mean, mentorship is a marathon, while connecting a startup with an investor is a sprint.
Yes.
So you have to be sold to the guy's idea, the startup's idea, if you want to mentor them. Right. It's very important that you do that, continuously. So because I was running a marketplace, so I cannot fall in love with every idea, because I have to, my brains are always working to get money for the startups, because to be very honest, startups really want money, and if you give them a lot of gyan or knowledge and all that, they like it to the point, but beyond a point, it's the money which they feel if they get it, they can do A, B, C, D, and they can do a lot of things in life. But you are absolutely right. If you think of it from a standpoint of educating ourselves financially, because you are a chartered accountant and you will understand that part very easily, to get money, you have to get the education to get the money. And therefore mentoring is very important, but most startups don't understand. But I have a pool of mentors actually over a period of time that have joined me. So I actually don't do mentorship. I would love to do that, but because I have to run the company, I'm always running a company, the worst problem after distillation comes to me. So I have to think a lot over it. So I have mentors, I put them, and they can choose mentors also in our platform. So they have the freedom, and there are a lot of good guys I have who mentor, and people, and they do a lot of this for maybe 10 months, 12 months and all, which is a longer journey. Mentoring is a very long journey. You have to be with the startup. They will be traveling, you will tell them you can meet someone in Pune, or you can go there and do, and all those things that he doesn't have access to, this mentor will open doors, but startup has to still go there and do it. And usually they're old people who have a lot of connects and contacts. So
do you also help them prepare their pitches and modeling and financial modeling for them, evaluations and everything?
Yes. So the thing is that we usually the startups come to us with all that, but we don't feel they're up to the mark, while they feel they are up to the mark, but we don't want to push them into it, because obviously we will involve experts, and there could be a cost to that, which they may or may not like at that point in time. But I think it's, as you rightly said, and again, because of your finance background, you will appreciate that there is only 15 minutes to exhibit yourself in front of the investor. That's your moment, right? In that moment, if you do not project yourself properly, the 18 months plan, 3 years plan and all that, and there are people who are projecting very well across the board, and there is a lot of competition in this space as well. If you are not head and shoulders above others, you may lose the battle there, even though your idea may be great, your energy may be great, and will skill may be great. So you're absolutely right. You have to fundraising is now become a very very competitive industry. You have to get all your projections, your pitch deck, your business plan, month on month, how year on year projections, everything,
so get your numbers right,
absolutely right, and that you can achieve it. You can't say I will be 1,000 crore company. I mean, people have to believe that the TAM, the total addressable market that you have, is so large that you will be able to achieve that. Plus you should have your energy and will skill, you got to exhibit
and
yourself.
You should also understand the market, I feel, the industry size, the market, whether there is a demand for the product that you're making, or you have to create a demand and then sell your product.
Yeah, that is an interesting debate, by the way. Some people, and there is a lot of knowledge that goes around this area, which is that you produce a product, right, and then you fall in love with that product, but whether the market is accepting that product or not, because that's where the money starts to come in. And some people just produce. I've seen some startups coming to us, they tell me 17 years it has taken for me to produce this, sir. And I felt still I can't, because I didn't feel, because he was putting a mobile phone in some kind of a closure, and it can do some activity while you can give voice commands to that closure. But then mobiles today have Siri or whatever, Google and all that. Same thing can be done. But he, in a way, fell in love with his instrumentation engineering, and he produced something which we can't sell to the market. So that's very sad. I gave you an example like this, and I can give many examples. So my advice to startups is that please find a product and don't fall in love with it, but fall in love with the idea that this product, it has a validation from the people, some test scenarios it can do with 5-10 people. They validate it, and they say, and they're like industry veterans in the sector that you are, and they tell you that this is a terrific product, it's going to be accepted by the market, and you got that validation done, then build the MVP, and then try a product market fit within the 6-7 months post that time. Otherwise you won't, you will have a difficult time, and chances are you will fail.
Yes, I somehow feel that if there is a problem, you solve it and you create a product to solve it, or a service to solve that problem. But when there is when there is no problem, you don't create a problem and then you solve it by through.
Yeah, I mean that would be like too much of
Yes.
technical debt you are creating in the world. So every time a product is launched or a company is born, it fills a gap.
Yes.
But then it also creates a gap, because it solved a problem, but so it was somewhere here, all of them, and then he did something, it disrupted some place, so now there is a gap here.
Yes.
So then another company comes and fills it, and then another company, and when these two companies are filling the gaps, they themselves are disrupting spaces.
Right.
So what happens, you'll always have gaps. The only thing is how to monetize the gap or the disruption that you're bringing.
Right.
And monetization is actually about really putting your idea through validation methodology that I told, getting some people to accept the idea, and then once you are able to monetize it, there were 2-3 scenarios. You can go viral, and then you will have serving orders problem, or if you don't go viral, you have like a hockey stick curve, go longer and then you go viral, and so on and so forth. But either way, don't fall in love with your idea, but learn to see that people accept it, and if they then go full.
That's actually an important lesson. Just don't fall in love with your idea. Try to first create what you have ideated, and then get it validated, see if there is a product market fit, and then go forward.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you said you have a pool of mentors. Tell us a little bit about your team currently at True Digital.
Oh, we have a very large team actually. They are only mentors. So mentors, investors as well, by the way. So and those people know a lot of investors as well. So it's not that they're just mentors. And they can switch between the roles as well. Some of the investors can become mentors also.
Okay.
So we have, we have an anchor there, and I won't divulge the names, but if you want, I can do that. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So there is one person who actually introduces all the people. That is Suman ma'am, and then I myself joined, but I usually join because I would be multitasking and all that.
Yes.
These mentors have been great with me for all these years. So Major General Digvijay Sethia is a mentor. We have Colonel Ranjan Kakar. He was my colleague way back in 2005. Now he is, I think, 65 years old.
Oh.
He's happy to be on the calls, and he and I knew each other. Manish is there. Archie is there. So Archie brings that youth and insights because of his knowledge. He's IIT and IIM. Manish is like connected with everybody. He is also pretty old guy. So if you want to know the top tier investing houses and who their founders are, and he would have met them somewhere at that level. And then there are many more people in UK, US also. On a need basis, they will join based on the sector. So there is a WhatsApp group, and Suman ma'am floats the pitch deck on that group.
Okay.
And the link is the same to join. It's in the part of the group. And then there are like Shashikant is there. As I said, there are 15-20 people.
Right.
And each of them, Colonel Tarun Kumar is there. He has been mentoring. He actually gives speeches on HR and all that to Biocon and all that. He came to Bangalore as well.
Okay.
So he has been doing great work. So all these people give their time to it. And to be very honest, the single thing that we share on this platform is the passion to help the startups. There's nothing else that connects us. There is no monetary thing going on here. We actually pay the people who are working to get the startups onto this platform. That's all for them, because there is an effort involved. Rest of the people, their 1 hour that they give on this call is really their, I would say, the pro bono consulting they're doing for the organization, for the love of it, really.
Oh.
And that's been a nice gesture from all of them. I mean, otherwise
Right.
I wouldn't exist at all.
So you help startups prepare their pitch decks, make their presentations to the VCs or the investors, and how
Yeah,
does it?
so in that regard, if the startup feels he is ready and all that, we do give them some ideas, because they don't want to pay for any services, let's say,
Okay.
if that is the case. But if they want us to personally get involved and build all that, there is a charge for that. And once they're okay with that, then we do a very good job of whatever that I told you, projections,
Right.
Business plan, very accurate.
Evaluations.
Yeah, and a quarter on quarter, and the Excel sheets will open up so it's not very complicated. It's easy for the eyes and all that.
Right.
And the PowerPoint presentations are state of the art. I've been in pre-sales and sales for 25 years, so I know how it has to look. So I get all my, all my ducks in the row. And then we actually tell them to come on Great Unicorn Show, because they are having a lot of stomach churns and all that, because they are, so might as well do that. And by the time they would have found 3-4 people,
Right.
and then we take them to as many engagements as possible, because the idea is to get quick money, open up multiple engagements, and whatever is the best offer on the table to take that, which is the value of a marketplace.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the Great Unicorn Show. Like, this happened much before Shark Tank. So how did this idea come up, and how did you strategize the website and the show and all of this, because it was not a very common concept.
Yeah, absolutely. What happened is, there is a relative of mine, my brother actually, and his son said, you guys are. So he saw the show. He's a young man, 12th standard, I think, or maybe even less. So he saw the show and he said, startup is talking about himself, and there is an anchor, Major General sir, you are also there. But who is he talking to? I said, this recording will go everywhere. I said, no, bring on the show some investors.
Oh.
And at that time, US Shark Tank was on.
Yes.
So this guy said, have you seen Shark Tank in the US? And I don't know, these small lads are seeing Shark Tank US. So I said, they have investors, 5 of them. And so I struggled a little bit to find people to come on my show in the beginning. And then I went to one of my friends who was in army, and he got some army guys, and he said these guys, would be interested in coming on the show. And eventually the show telecasted. So we had like 2 people, 3 people, and then people dropping in. Initially the audience was very high because everybody wanted to see what this is, and it was new at that time.
Right.
And then so we wanted to work harder and so on and so forth. A lot of motions happen around it. Today we have we can get easily 30 to 40 people. Out of it, 12 to 15 people would be investors, or part of marketplaces, or connected to a lot of other things, because direct investors do not have so much bandwidth to come, but there will be. It's like, you go and buy a painting, there is a person to call you and tell this is $6 million now, $7 million, or whatever it is. Those kind of interesting tips, or if they want to have their own call with the startups, he can pass those messages.
Right.
So that way, the Great Unicorn Show to me is the single most important, like Shark Tank. Like Shark Tank is changing the way, our startup ecosystem is evolving in India. I think Great Unicorn Show at a smaller level is doing the same thing exactly, because it's inspiring people to produce something, and there is a lot of feedback, and the recordings are done in 3 portions. One is when he gives the pitches, and that is put on the Startup Hub for people to look at it, and then there is a large QA session, because people QA sessions can go in all directions, and so on and so forth.
So you've come a long way with the Great Unicorn Show. You were saying that you started with only 2-3 people, and now you've reached to a level where more than 30 people join. So how has it been? How was the journey, and how did you go about strategizing? It was a new thing after all.
Yeah, this is where the crux of the matter is, and it is a lesson what I have achieved. And not 2-3 people alone, one person in the beginning, and then so journey is always like that, and it becomes a caravan over a period of time.
Right.
But the important thing is that I got great help in life. I think LinkedIn is a beautiful tool to me. If LinkedIn would not have been there, I wouldn't know how I would have approached investors and startups. So LinkedIn, I think it's a great thing. for many people, a lot of people have views around it, but I think it's great. Facebook is also great, but it doesn't help a lot. I'm so sorry to say that somehow. Instagram, I haven't figured out yet, but people say it's, if you talk about startups, people come like, honeybees around you, but I haven't figured that out yet. So my apology on that. I don't want to judge Instagram. And then Twitter, I'm not there too much. Although, because my startup is not, there's no political motive out of it.
Right.
So, and except for politics, which I don't get into too much these days because of the time constraint and all that, I'm not on Twitter. So LinkedIn helped me a lot. And then I experimented with a lot of other like Pinterest and, Reddit. I did all of that. But I think LinkedIn came out as a winner in all of that. And I started from there. Then from a digital marketing standpoint, I didn't have anybody. So I use Snapchat videos, which my son doesn't like. He said it should be natural and all that. And I don't look good in natural, I told him. So, and then I used to talk about it, record it and put it on LinkedIn, and people used to like it. And then I will make one pager in PowerPoint, make it an image and write something, scribble something about startup, differentiator, what is an entry barrier, so on and so forth. How can you create a market also? There are very smart people. For example, look at Blinkit, for example. So all Zomato, Swiggy happened, but then sometimes you need a samosa right now, right here. I want a gulab jamun right now, right here. And I thought Blinkit is a brilliant model. In fact, those guys also subcontract this activity to them, so on and so forth. So when you look at this whole ecosystem, how it works and all that, you will see that all the startups in the beginning have nobody, except for the founder. And the founder is the first sales guy. He has to. And I was very lucky. I got somebody paid me. I was not aware also. Go to my corporate account, and they trusted me so much. And I was like still wondering. And then he said, "Sir, I've already paid you. You haven't responded to me." I said, "I don't know how, when." And his email went to my junk, this thing. So I didn't know. Because all this, I don't know what happens. This is, you have to do some, name space or whatever, God knows. It went into this, and I said, "Oh, really?" So then I showed him to investors and all that. He became a very good friend also. Of course, he left the education startup that he built, more in lines of Byju's and all that. And the sad part is in this industry that many people like me, and I also felt like shutting down. We all go through this motion of extreme pain at times, while our passion is still there, but we aren't making money. And everybody is asking us money to be given. We owe people a lot. And then we have been using people in that collaborative fashion. So sometimes it feels very bad that, and you feel like, why I am doing this, But then, some days are brighter. Some things would happen. So you'll come out of that lull and start performing. So these tools are one area. But as a person, perseverance is very important. Idea can take you somewhere. Market can help you. All those things are happening. But you as an individual shouldn't leave it. But I've seen 90%, and there is research also done in it, that 90% of the startups fail in the first initial year. And that's very sad because, again, as I said, it could be a combination of falling for the love for your product, then the understanding the market, or simply you could not persevere. There was too much pressure on you to earn after you graduated as a young man from family or whatever, or some incidents happen. Run out of cash. And there are 5-6 reasons they tell, but I think these are the primary reasons why a person would. So to me, it was great. I had a great journey that way.
Yes. So what is your vision from now on? What do you aim to change? Like now we have a proper Shark Tank in India, which is very glamorous. But like I said earlier, and I've been repeating, that a lot of people don't have access to it. You have done it digitally. You have arranged Google Meet where people come up and they pitch their ideas, the investors who come in. Now, do you also plan to take it physical now that COVID is over and everything is back to normal? Do you also plan to make it a physical thing where investors come and entrepreneurs come with their ideas, pitch it, and a little glamorized version?
Absolutely, we want to do that model as well. The Great Unicorn Show is about reaching out to maximum number of people. But when we will do the event in the hotels,
Right.
there also we will record and give it to the people, because it shouldn't be limited to 30, 40 in that room, because that's what people are doing. To me, the idea is that we should be able to take startups to maximum number of people.
Right.
It's a broadcast model,
Right.
the Great Unicorn Show. There is no hindrance. It may create fatigue on people, but then we don't want to do so many shows. We plan to do 4 in a month.
Right.
We don't want to do 30, 40 and those kinds. This creates fatigue.
Yes.
Unless you are a very large player and then so much, you have such a big angel family house or VC
Yes.
group that you can continue to invest in, 10, 15 in a month. But we want to do 4. Some of them may not be investable. Some of them could be like very good and they're like, top of the heap kind of, hot potato or whatever it is. So, but the Great Unicorn Show, Great Unicorn Show is the concept, right? And for example, look at Shark Tank. Not every company is investable.
Yes.
But the quality of startups there is very high because they do a lot of work on that.
True.
Here it's as they come. We don't do too much because we have created that factory model. And but if somebody wants us to work, we will work. But then then he will
Yes.
come little later on the show. The Great Unicorn Show is really an opportunity for people to come and show themselves, showcase themselves. So if you look at the market for Shark Tank and the Great Unicorn Show, it's the same, the startup.
Right.
But the strata is different
Of course.
because here somebody doesn't have a voice to go on Shark Tank or many other large investors. They always have a place, the Great Unicorn Show, where they can showcase their idea.
Plus, I think these screen applications, whereas I don't think you would judge them prematurely. You'd rather listen to them, hear them out, and then give them a fair chance.
Yeah. So even before the Great Unicorn Show, there is a 1-hour elite panel call that we organize, and once they sign up, then we take them to the Great Unicorn Show. Actually, when they sign up for the larger program of meeting a lot of investors, we actually give Great Unicorn Show free because. Again, the idea is that I can take you to 10 number of people through an executive or even 20, or maybe in 6 months, I can take you to 100 people that I know. But still, if you got the energy and will scale, then Great Unicorn Show is our thing and we want to give it free to people.
Yes.
So it's still free. If you choose the one of any of the products that we have, it comes free to you.
Oh.
And I want people to take it, take the opportunity. So even if you ask one of the service, not the investor connect service, let's say, or the retainer model, whatever we want to interpret it that way, you still will get Great Unicorn Show if you're opted for, pitch deck improvement, business plan, or building a projection for the next 18 months or 3 years, so on and so forth. We'll still give Great Unicorn Show free once you have developed that, because any of the product you buy, because this is our show, and our commitment is to take you to a lot of people. And who knows, even without, a lot of struggle through the show, if you can get the money, then good for you.
So if I want to say go on Shark Tank, I have an idea, I'm a startup, I need funding, but I also want a glamorized version. So will you also help me out? Will you mentor me, help me prepare my pitch deck, understand and present my business in a better way for a larger audience? Like, would you also help those people who want to take it to, say, Shark Tank or any other search version?
So Shark Tank, Horses Stable, a lot of these.
Right.
In fact, I was also going to be part of Lion's Den. There are a lot of OTT shows and all that.
Yes.
That are coming on. They're coming on that.
Coming up, yes, now.
But again, people want. Shark Tank is very popular. Horses Stable was also as well. One that was.
Yes, I think now the OTTs have realized that there is a market for such shows. A number of such shows will come up.
Yeah, they are innovating in that area. So now the thing is that we also want to do something like that. We also want to do the hotel model. But as I said, we will still want to, because if you look at all the recordings that are there, nobody puts that. Everybody claims I've done so much. So from the beginning, we wanted to showcase ourselves and be transparent.
Right.
Because transparency, integrity, we keep integrity very high in our work. What we promise, we deliver. So we are not assuring anything because we have no clue how your journey is going to be. Whether you will receive money or not, we don't know actually. Because sometimes it's difficult to predict, because sometimes somebody invests in someone which we felt he won't.
Right.
Vice versa, somebody we felt won't get money actually got money. So really speaking, for example, I'll give you an example here. There was a aviation company, and we thought, who will invest in aviation? And I was struggling a bit. I was showing him to a lot of in Chennai, Chennai Angels and this and that and all that. And then there was a man in Bangalore. He was a retired, Boeing employee. And he was ready to give his lifetime savings to that man. And I was like surprised. And I said, so people have passion. If somebody is creating a drone which can sit in a plane and can configure all the airports which they have to spend 400 crores, he has an LOI to do it in 4 crore. And then this man actually wanted to give his savings to this man. And I was like, so he's an investor. Maybe he would have given only 15 lakh, 20 lakhs, but that's a good oxygen for that man. So this people, the startups, the whole process, it can be so unpredictable, yet it is predictable in the way that certain energy and will skill are needed for a person to excel. So this shows when we do, it's precisely pointed to, we also don't know whether this guy will get money or not, but the show has the power to bring money to him, and he can reach maximum number of people.
Also, I read somewhere that investment decisions are not just purely logical. Sometimes they just reflect who we are, who our own life experiences. And like you said, when nobody believed in an aviation company, a person who's associated with the company did show some passion.
Yeah.
And yes. So
absolutely. So things evolve over a period of time. I mean, really, if you go on your first call, or first presentation, you're very nervous, and then what happens is some of the as investors, they use, what is your CAG? You never heard about CAG, like a customer acquisition cost, CAC, right? Then there is, what is the lifetime value of your customers? And he won't have any idea, while he would be doing everything. He will be preparing invoices, whatever, and whatever his processes are. So sometimes it's difficult to understand. So what you are saying, and precisely the point, is that one has to learn, so just CAC is an example, but even if, and there are investors of very kind, so they will explain, CAC is like customer acquisition model. So if you spend so much in acquiring customers, and you have so much customers, you will divide them, it will come out. But then the time is the problem. While they explain, they ask them to send on email all the details. Right. If they are still interested, by the way, investors won't like to lose a good idea because they are in the game as well. So, but to the startups, if they're easy, flowing, which will happen over a period of time, not immediately. So Great Unicorn Show, Shark Tank, or wherever people go. The thing is that at some point they will know CAC, they will know lifetime value, they will know how much gross merchandise volume of the product, so on and so forth. All this on their fingertips. Yes. Then it's pretty quick. If you say to that, I will get back to you on an email, then there is a lag, right? Other guy has already come in, right? And like, Brian, the great man, sales person, in his show, he says that once the customer walks out of the door, I mean, it's over. I mean, he can still come back to you, but the time is when you talk to him, when you're sitting with the man, and that's the time. And therefore, you got to have everything on fingertips. So this, even if you prepare someone, at the end of the day, you prepared it. He has to execute it.
Yes.
So he may not be able to do that. So the key is to take them through these motions of various shows and all that, drive their nervousness out, and also get this things that are going to be asked, which are kind of like pet questions, on your fingertips. And that's when your aha moment will come, when you will see somebody saying, you know what, I want to give you my money. Right. I want to believe in you.
And not all entrepreneurs are, very vocal, and though they have that passion, they know their product better than anybody, they can't always communicate in the best way. So there's some preparation needed to do that, I guess.
Yeah, and yeah, you're absolutely right. So here comes another thing. So every founder is different, and so therefore, for example, if I had not met Archie, so I was different. I had my ABCD going, high energy, hyperactive guy. Archie is calm, and he has got a lot of ideas and brains in doing a lot of things together. So a founder is the founder of the company which starts and moves the company to a point where somebody joins in, we call him co-founder. So if this guy lacks expressing himself, the abilities to communicate properly, his English is start worse or whatever, this other guy will fill that.
Right.
And usually if it's a female, that's even better, because then the diversity starts to come into play and the thinking changes dramatically. If there is another man, then their thinking would be a little different. They might not understand the sixth sense, the other areas of what a female is known to, what we call in the Johari window, the darker quadrant, where the females are much better in understanding. And that's why once you open that part a little bit, you'll start to see more opportunities opening up for you. So that's the reason I said that the energy and the will skill of the founder is important, but then the overall cap table and the team that he has, if collectively, and they should all come on the call. Usually, they don't bring on the call, which is sometimes we also don't like it. All of them should come on the call as CFO, as CEO, as CTO, and all of them should express their viewpoint, because the investor wants to see the whole panel of people and how they express themselves and execute, because he is going to put the money for the next 3 years.
Right.
He will be stuck with them unless he exits and the promises that they made. Otherwise, he'll lose the money because he's simply getting stakes today.
Of course.
So yes, the team is very important. The communication skills are important.
Absolutely.
And they do need some preparation before coming forward. And I remember this because while I worked with a couple of huge corporates, I've also worked with grassroots level people who have, small businesses. So when you ask them to give us projections and, estimated sales, how will you achieve the sales? They say, this is the business that I know. This is the business that I'm in. I can do this. This is my sales. I can get this much sales. I don't know anything else that you're asking me. I just know my business. But when it comes to startup, of course, it changes because you have investors. They want to know a lot of things. So all of that. But while we are on startups, and this is basically all about startups, I also, like we discussed, that a lot of startups fail in the initial years, and we have also seen an influx of new startups. I don't know how many, I think 10 startups are opening as we speak now. So I want to ask that there's some kind of failure also. There are startups which are opening, which have become unicorns, and I'll not name them, but they have failed. So there's as we see success, we also have to consider that there's a massive failure on technicalities, on team building, on compliance and such. So, and a lot of startups come to you. So how do you address this, or first of all, how important you think that for a startup to ensure compliance, to do things right? Like when they're starting, they probably miss on certain things, miss on compliances, miss on appointing an auditor also sometimes. So how important it is for startups to, ensure compliance from the beginning, and how is it actually? What is the trend that you see?
So the first question is, you're right. If you go to a shopkeeper here and ask him his business plan for the 18 months and 3 years, what the hell? I make every month so much. This is what goes out in buying whatever that I do, and this is what remains with my house. That's the business plan.
Right.
That's the business plan. But if you ask him to articulate it, he won't be able to do it. So you're absolutely right. When you went to those small businesses, medium businesses, they don't know how to do that. And with that, even if they think big, they cannot present it to the investor.
Right.
So they need an expert. And there are a lot of experts in our country, right or wrong. That's something up for debate. And that's where one of the reasons is also of startups failing as well. It's just not primarily the founder. Founder has to get the right person. It's difficult to meet the right person also. You may struggle all your life to meet somebody who could have added value to you. And you could have refused someone also.
Yes.
And then there are things in life, so that happens over a period of time. So coming back to the question of failure, and as I said, failure is not directly proportional to the founders.
Yes.
And for example, if he didn't meet the right person in getting his projections right and all that, if he didn't prepare himself well for the investor meeting, if he didn't have a great cap table, people around him
Yes.
helping him, if he didn't rise head and shoulders above others, by faking a little bit of projections as well, might as well achieve. Others may have failed, by the way, even if they projected a lot. But I think the investors and the team that they have some checks and balances. The most VCs, the bigger ones, will have a checklist. So revenue, they want to see revenue.
Right.
If you want a pre-revenue and all that, only angels will come forward, like that retired man who was willing to take a faith of leap in the man because he was in the same area of interest for him. So while all these factors, if you see, still the ecosystem is pretty bad. Not all startups are supposed to become big as well, because you can't have 100 billion unicorns. So let me just give you some numbers. So earlier, it used to take 12 years to produce one unicorn. This could be like 7 or 10 years back. Today means a year and a half before or 2 years before, it was considered in 7 years. There were startups in 7 years average. Some would have taken 15, some would have taken a little less. Average 7 years, company becomes a unicorn, $1 billion in market cap. Revenue may not be there. It could be primarily technology companies, stuff like that and all that. Today it has come down, like Apna.com and all that. I'm told that they have become in 2.5 years. The first $1 trillion company of Elon Musk, I think it took 17 years, and now some people are targeting even 11 years for $1 trillion company, not $1 billion company. So the way the money is being printed and produced, and the way these guys are getting like aggressive alpha in the house, and the way they are all getting used to this media, which is printed media, as well as the YouTube and all that, and you can access Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, everybody now today, and each of these ecosystems. So what is happening is that and Shark Tank itself has a great impact. I think Shark Tank, probably everybody sees it who is in this space today. And so it's a kind of an insane race, but I think even with the 10% which will not fail are good enough to produce that ecosystem which Prime Minister Modi is talking about. It's sad for people, the 90% of them, or maybe even 95% of them, not to become a mid-sized company, and if they become unicorn, good for them. But if they don't become, it is sad for the person, but not for the country as such. Now, so what we also try to do, and that's where the elite panel comes in, which I was telling you about. In the Great Unicorn Show, you will be quizzed on yourself. Some of the questions will be real nasty. They may hurt your feelings because you were very emotional. You brought this company from point A to point B, and somebody is questioning your attitude, your path, your choices you made in your life, so on and so forth. You don't want to even answer them. But then you are supposed to answer, because that's the show all about. When people fail, it's sad, as I said. But then at some point in time, people have to understand, and that is the reason where our panel of mentors and all that, and that is why we have such old people who have seen the highs and the lows in their lives. They're the right guys. There are young people who want to teach and all that. It's great. Technology is not the point here. The point here is that the guy who has failed, he's down. He's dug a hole and he wants to bury himself. How do you pull that guy out and make him stand and say, you know what, this is not what happened to you. You were not wrong. This is what happened to you. Somebody has to dissect the whole process of his journey. And if we can bring some people up. And then I said there are pressure in the house, people. I have seen 2 of the startups. I asked him, one of the startups who failed, why are you leaving this? He had no money problem. His father was doing well. He said, I want to do MTech, sir. This didn't work out the way I thought. He wanted to create he asked me, I said, how much money you want? No revenue, okay. Good traction, but trying to build traction by burning a lot of cash. I said, how much money you are asking? $5 million. And I said, what? $5 million? How? So this company, another company, competition or something, they got $3.4 million. So why can't I get $5 million? But there's no logic in this. Because his DNA, how he got, what connects he had, we don't know really. But this guy is citing the same example. I think you should So it's like same thing, right? In movies and all that, and somebody got this, his movie got hit, I'll make a similar movie. It doesn't work that way. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody meets different kind of people, and that's why there's so much diversity in the startup ecosystem as well. I believe that you got to have a strong heart, and wear your heart on your sleeve always. You will never be wrong in that. Meet good people, invite them, be always on the receiving side of things. And if things don't work out and people ask you or want to burn your own house as well, it's time to take a step and say that, you know what, you contributed a lot, thank you very much. Because as a founder, you got to be in control, you don't want to be taken for a ride. I'm pretty sure if you have all this and other people guiding you over a period of time and you persevere, it's not easy to fail, because the universe is going to help you at some point.
But at the same time, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted.
Not for the faint-hearted. It's not.
There are two questions which comes to mind after this, and I want to ask the first question is, like you said, the guy did not wanted to do an MTech after working for some time. Now we also see a trend where people are dropping out of school, people are dropping out of colleges to start a startup, and they want to make it big. And of course, everybody wants to make it big. And when you're starting something, you don't start it with an aim to fail. You start it with an aim to succeed.
Absolutely.
So
nobody wants to fail.
Yes, but in that quest, the education takes a backseat. They're dropping because they have heard Zuckerberg doing that, somebody else doing that. So they have examples now. And so they can always tell their parents, see, he did that, so we're also going to do it. And they're dropping out of. So education is taking a backseat somehow, I feel. And I also feel that you need to complete your education before you step into the world and try to do something. But most people who do are not, they have parents who can support them financially. They have some backup. At least they'll have, a roof over their head and food to eat. So now they think that this is the time that they can start something and build something. So do you see that trend a little, like I feel it is a little alarming, but I would like your thoughts on that. Like, what do you feel about it?
I think you have actually hit the hornet's nest here, because this is absolutely true. One of the inspiring things for youth today is to leave college. I don't know, this inspiration is coming from somewhere. I want to stop it. And I'll tell you who is inspiring them. Mr. Musk, Elon Musk. I think Jeff Bezos, I don't know whether he was a dropout or not, but Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. And they all went to Harvard to get the idea in the first 2 years and then come out of it, take the idea and go out and build it. Well, easier said than done. They have done it. They have the right to speak their mind. We can't stop them from doing that.
As a percentage of the total population.
So that's what I was coming to. These guys don't know that they were helped with a lot of guys who had PhDs and degrees, and while you were persevering to build a startup, the other guys made the contribution. If people stop going to colleges, where are the PhD holders coming in? The mind share of the company.
Right.
If I'm a smart guy, street smart, I can do 10 things. But can I look at a startup and I would say, Archie, would you like to look at it and see whether he fits the window that we're talking about here? Then he will do a better job than me. So there are horses for courses.
Yes.
And you can't, and therefore my view is that people shouldn't leave college.
Yes.
People have to study. Even if you want to make money, you need to have an education, basic education, graduation at least, to understand this diversity of things that goes on, the processes and all that. And some of us take it for granted because we have worked so long. But for young people, it's absolutely, completely, I think it's a destroying force, if I can use that word, with the wisdom that I have. They're destroying their lives if they're not pursuing education. Another thing I want to say is that people who don't take education seriously and they think that I can start something, and it's possible, for example, but then at the heart of it is a very clear indication in the startup world that people who are educated tend to do better. The failure rates are low, right? While we have great examples of people falling out. I met a guy actually, told me, I am dropped out from college and this is my this is my fourth startup that failed or third startup failed, and he writes beautifully on LinkedIn, and he has tremendous following. So now here is an example, and he says that my third startup failed, and here are the lessons. Well, I don't know if we should, and he has great following because there are a lot of people who have failed in their lives, and they follow him and they say, at least you have the audacity, or let's say you have the frankness to say these things on a forum like LinkedIn, respected forum like LinkedIn. Well, to be honest, I mean, maybe it gives hope to people, and I don't know if it gives hope to people because his interpretation of what happened to him is not exactly what happened to me, not exactly what would have happened to any one of us in your life if you went on an entrepreneurial journey. So I don't know how it helps, but to me still is that don't take pride in some failed startup that you did. You got to succeed. It's not that some people say the first house is a mess that you build. The second house is like you do a lot of thinking and you get all the right things, vastu and all that. And third house is your ideal house. This once American told me. So I don't know if I could have 3 houses, but let's say the third house is your best house. It's not the case in the startups. So my point is that life is very short. Okay, yes. There is one lesson in life. Life is very short. There are only so many opportunities people offer you because they know you and they like you. And therefore, you want to make most of it. And to make most of it, you don't refuse anyone in life. You don't want to judge anyone in life. And you want to be very clear in your life that you want to really, and therefore we get all these things right. You don't want to fail anytime. If you think that I will fail and that's an asset for me, then that's a very wrong approach to take into business.
Learning from failures is great, but failing again and again is also an indicator of a lot of things which need to be considered. But the crux of the matter stays that one should actually complete their education, even if you feel that there's an opportunity, even if you feel that there's something that you can do and make it big. I would still suggest they continue their education, and I would actually think that you would agree also that they should continue their education while doing that.
Absolutely. I am in favor of education, and I don't think that startup or building a company takes such a huge amount of time. If the idea is clear and you know how to do the job, it could be programming or it could be something, or you have a companion who can do programming and all that. It doesn't take so much of bandwidth, and there is today umpteen channels to put your idea. Yes. You don't need a distributor to put this video. You can simply put it on YouTube and get somebody likes it. The broadcast channels are already open for you.
You don't have to forgo one to get the other. You can do both of them simultaneously.
So to me, education is key. If people think it's not needed, we can improve our syllabus and all that. That's always a scope of improvement in how we deliver education, because from a lot of people have deliberated that in the education world. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of that.
Yes.
But then I think education, primary as well as secondary education as well as college education is a must.
Yes. And I said 2 questions. So my second question is, you were saying that you wanted 5 million, the guy who came in. So that's when I thought that people who are entering, who are starting their own companies these days come from, sometimes very affluential family. So for me, maybe 5 lakhs can be a bigger amount, but for him, 5 lakhs is just, chump change.
So 5 million.
Yes, because he wants 5 million.
Yeah.
I am happy with 5 lakhs. He wants 5 million. So there's this difference in how much amount they want, or how much funding they want, which is based on their own lifestyle and current financial
It's not lifestyle. It's not lifestyle. Funding is actually, moment you ask money and the stake that you dilute, it creates the valuation of your company.
Yes.
So people don't want to be valued small.
Yes.
So let's say you have a house and you show your house and you say, I will sell it at 4 crores. And somebody says, not even worth 50 lakhs. Right? Yeah, I don't see a 50. Right? So that's how it is. You say, I want so much money, but your company is not producing revenue. So if you want $100 million, you should have $10 million of revenue. And Warren Buffett is even strict. He says that only I will give you 1.1 times the market to me is what your revenue into 1.1 times. So he's old economy. Today people easily are willing to give from 5 to 10 times of your, depending on the sector that you are. So what you ask is your valuation. Somebody asks $5 million, we can't refuse him so judging. We know that this guy is insane. We know that in our hearts of hearts. But then we are not here to change people or judge people, because the biggest mistake I did in my beginning was to teach a lot, mentor a lot, and then people will feel offended and they may not write reviews. And maybe we are also wrong in assessing them. So the best part is to quiz them on how they have arrived at this, and there is a method to the madness which we expose them to them, and they will correct themselves also.
Right.
So all those things would happen at a lower level, and then he gets his feet around it. So for example, now coming back to the same example of the house, 4 crore, this guy says not even worth 50 lakhs. Now we start to go into the blue negotiation, the red negotiation, and then you reach the purple negotiation area, where both parties say, okay, I am going to give you 1.5 crores, and that guy comes down from 4 crore to 1.5 crore. So that's when they meet together.
And say, like, talking of all the fundings that we discussed, is bootstrapping better than funding in some ways?
So there is what you call the conservativeness of bootstrap and the glamour of fundraising. So so how do you balance that together? I mean, that's a very interesting question. But there is a glamour attached to fundraising, right? If you are on a Shark Tank show, some guy came to present and he said, I'm going to be featuring a shark. He's not been there. He was recently there, actually, Mr. Mandal. So he was like very excited about his product and the kind of connects that he has generated. A beautiful product, great TAM for him, because he's going to solve females' menstruation pain and all that with this gadget. He came on our show, actually. Sorry, he didn't come on our show. He came on our elite panel show, and he talked about it. And everybody in India would buy it if it works for them, right? And females go through a lot of pain in those. In this and at times in the day also, so on and so forth, that he explained us. And he's created that gadget which doesn't have side effect, because it's only for 10-20 minutes that you have to put in. I don't think that will produce any. So he was so excited about the Shark Tank, and then I don't want to take the names of the investors he was taking, which were like big, very big guys, and we were like feeling very small in the room with him. So we didn't know how to offer him, because we can't offer you anything. You already know everything. So
there's the glamour.
There is the glamour of fundraising. People get so excited about it. I believe the DNA of India, all the small and medium businesses, the pan shop, the pan wala and all that, their DNA is bootstrapping. Like I said, their business plan is, this is what I have. This is my sale. This is what I have to pay my vendors. And then this is the money that I keep for the house. This is classical bootstrapping, a family house that it does. I still believe that fundraising is glamorous, but it is needed. I don't want to classify it as a added nuisance in the process, or I don't want to even say that it is a necessity. You can still build a company without that. But I think the fundraising is accelerating your journey. What you would achieve in 7 years, you can achieve in 3 years with the help of an angel, as we call them, which is a misnomer. They're no longer angels after they give the money. And then there is a investor. And therefore, what you can achieve in 10 years or 7 years, if you can come down to 3 years, then what you would achieve in 7 years could be a much bigger thing. So in order to achieve a larger vision, which is what the world is going as a planet or world as we are going into, I think the acceleration is the key to the fundraising journey. And I don't still want to call it a glamour. I think it helps certain people who are very aggressive, alpha, want to do things which are very, very big. Vision is too large for anybody to comprehend.
It also kind of reduces your risk to an extent, I feel.
No. Money, once you get the money, it's very difficult to handle it. So it's actually risky to get money, because once you are in a steady state, you know how much is coming in, how much is going out, and this is the money I need to run it. If somebody comes and gives you a lot of money, then you have to start to think of putting it all your ducks in the row to get that larger means. And sometimes it's little bit of an escalation in your thinking and vision and all that.
Now, we've talked about the PM's vision, Mr. Modi's vision of 2047, and while I believe in the startup ecosystem evolving and playing a very pivotal role, I also somehow feel, I actually want to ask you this. Do you feel that there is some gap when it comes to funding from the government? Like we have VCs, we have individual investors, but when it comes to government funding, public expenditure on these startups, do you feel that there is a gap and something can be done about it to improve that kind of funding so that they don't have to depend on all the private investors, but they get the money directly from the government or some kind of funding or support? And though there are schemes, there are Stand Up India schemes and MSME schemes, somewhere they're all dependent on banks to implement it. They are not implemented directly by the government. And when they are implemented by the bank, and I have worked in that system, so I understand that, they are not, they always don't serve their purpose, or they don't reach the audience that they actually targeted at. So
yeah, government, I'm not an expert on the government rules because my company haven't taken anything from the government. We were not part of even Startup India campaign. I mean, we could have registered ourselves, but we never registered. We haven't taken any money from the government. But I hear a lot of startups coming and the government gives them 20 lakhs of grants. So, but then government has a bigger, they have a bigger budget, but they have to cater to everyone. And government, unlike a private sector, cannot, the incubation centers run by the government, they have budgets, the IITs, the IIMs, everybody has some budgets for the student, even for startups, by the way. Each of these institutions today have some 4-5 crores of budget to be given to the startup. How it goes is a different thing, and we can still debate on that. Government has to cater to everyone. So it's a very large piece. So government can give only 20 lakhs, let's say, to everyone in the country who is in the startups. So let's say 70,000 startups are there in the country today. Probably that could be the number, or maybe a little more. So if 70,000 rupees, 20 lakhs, I think government can still budget for that because there is enough money in the system. Now 20 lakhs don't take you anywhere because it looks a big amount, but once you start to spend it, a video will cost you 1 lakh or 15 seconds or whatever, and branding and all that. And some people do t-shirts, caps, they want to build a brand, and I think t-shirt, cap is going to help them. But I think, as I rightly said, or I'm trying to say, is that you need to focus on your competencies, which people who are not very educated or have started at a very early stage, they may not understand these things, because we understood this through the hard way of, grinding our shoes into the business of this world that we are in. So to me, the fact is that you can at the end of the day, you really have to, if you want to depend on the government, I think government is doing what it is doing, and as I said, government, it has to cater to everyone. So they have so much money and they're trying to do their best. And I think all the people that I've heard are nice things only about the government initiatives. People have got grants and all that. There could be some areas of concern and all that,
but the overall environment is
conducive. Government is doing what it can do. But then, because of the vision that you're carrying and the market that you want to address, and some people are like, I met a guy who is saying, I want to launch a rocket, and I want to be like Elon Musk, and he was building a cryogenic engine. He was an ex-ISRO, and he asked me money for that. He wanted to say 60 kg payload I want to send in the sky, and I had no clue on that. I mean, I was like, on the panel I was sitting, I was thinking what to do with it. And then I don't know, you were also there.
I wasn't there.
Some of us were there, and so that's what I mean. You will meet people, strange kind of people, and your mind will go into a different direction. Cryogenic engine. India was struggling 20 years back to get it from Russia, which and now there's a guy who's building it. So I can tell you some ideas were like out of this world. And so I want to give those guys money, and we don't know whether he can build a cryogenic engine. So money again is a commitment, right? And then there are milestones. So it's not easy to get all the money while they printed in the printed media that I got so much. So there's a lot of, what I'm saying is government is doing a good job around it. I believe so. 20 lakhs is a good place to start with. If you keep your cost controls very high, if you are very judicious, if you find people, like-minded people to help you, 20 lakhs is decent enough to take you at some point to somewhere. But then you need, the angel round is anywhere from 1 to 4 crores. Right. That's the angel round. Then is your seed round, which could be up to 10 crores. then use your growth round, which could be up to 70 crores. Sorry, 80 crores. I'm talking in US dollars. 80 crores upward is your series A, B, C, D, and all that, which can go up to 10 times of each of these. And finally, in the F, and then you can go IPO. You can go to public offer.
That's a long way.
So yeah, government is doing its bit, whatever it can do. I think they're doing a terrific job. But they have a lot of this startup, India, and a lot of those places. There are a variety of things to do. You can go and enroll yourself into many programs, mentorships. But as I said, there is the children today are more used to images, the phones and all that. They have very less attention span.
Yes.
So if you want to
even for a 60-second video, you have to tell them that watch till the end, because you're not sure
they will watch it till the end. So if you give them too much gyan, they're like, man, this guy is always teaching. I want to earn money.
Besides money, yes. I know. So any final words? And also, I would like you to include whether if there is a startup who's watching, or if somebody has an idea who wants to start, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, thanks for the. So yeah, we will conclude it. I mean, this was great, interesting views that you asked nice questions. I'm very glad. I hope I could answer them.
Yes.
And it benefits people. For all the startups, I would only say that to create a product that the market likes, people like, validate it before you launch it. Because if you love your product and it doesn't do well, you will certainly fail. And don't be obsessed with it. Secondly, money is not the constraint as most people think. So please don't think that if you get money, you will be successful. You can still be successful without money. And I wish you all good luck. And a lot of things that I talked about in this video, please go through it. For example, build a great plan, look very polished, don't take anything lightly, don't go in chappal and take chances and all that. I mean, very simple things. Don't do all that. You don't have to do it. And lastly, I would also like to say is that get your some of the metrics of comparison that they use, numbers on your fingertips. Even if you are a CEO and you're going to present it, ask your CFO to produce all that. Keep your CFO handy so that he can step in and explain the processes. And with that, I mean, that's more or less, if you do all of that, you will get it right. To all startups, I wish them very good luck in their lives. And I hope that all this, what we spoke, is going to change your life dramatically in the next few years. Thank you for having me, Pragya. It was great.
Pleasure talking to you.
It was my pleasure as well talking to you.
Thank you. So, stay tuned for more and subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed yet.